Welcome to Absolute Trust Talk with your host, Kirsten Howe. Absolute Trust Talk brings you tips, tools, advice, and interviews to help you build a reliable knowledge base on estate planning, business, and finance to start preparing for your future today.
Hello and welcome to Absolute Trust Talk. I'm Kirsten Howe. I'm here with one of our associate attorneys, Jessica Colbert. This is our live streaming podcast here at Absolute Trust Council. And Jessica and I, the last number of episodes have been very serious and really focused on a specific piece of the law and trying to be very educational, very helpful. And that's great. That's what this podcast is for. But sometimes we like to have a little more fun than that. And that's what today's episode is, just for fun, just for our fun. Hopefully you will have fun. The fun episodes for me, there's lots of different kinds of fun episodes, but one variety that I really like is our celebrity death episodes. And so we're going to go back today and revisit a celebrity death because there's been some kind of recent developments in this particular case. I'm talking about O.J. Simpson. And just to bring everybody, including Jessica, up to speed, O.J. died in April of this year, 2024. He left a will. He nominated a longtime friend and attorney of his as his executor. That gentleman got appointed in the state of Nevada to be the executor because that's where O.J. lived when he died, was Nevada. And probably everybody is aware that whatever estate there was when O.J. died, it is now far outpaced by the debt that he had when he died. He had a judgment by the Goldman family against him for $33.5 million, which is now, I don't even know, is that 20 years old, that judgment, 25 years old? It's been collecting interest ever since, and now it's up to about $117 million. So whatever estate he had, that's not going to cover that. I think there's also a tax lien by the state of California. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But the executor has been working on a couple of things, and that caught my attention, and therefore we're having this conversation. Jessica, why don't you fill us in on what the executor has been doing lately?
Part of the executor's job is getting all the assets together. And right now what he's trying to do is get those assets together and get some of that value into the estate. So one thing that he's working on is the executor petitioned the court. He asked the judge for permission to auction off some of OJ's stuff, what we call his tangible personal property, his belongings. There's some, memorabilia, and just, people want things that were owned by OJ. Kind of cool to say, oh, I have OJ's ashtray, or I have a painting that was hung in OJ's house. So that stuff is likely worth something. We have not been able to figure out when that auction is. And so if you're an OJ fan and trying to get your hands on his ashtray, we don't have that information for you yet.
Yeah, I had seen something about October 31st, and that's kind of explaining the timing of this episode, is that that October 31st date came and went, and I don't see any evidence that the auction actually took place. Probably the executor has, a lot of work to categorize all that stuff and figure out how much it should be, what should be the minimum bid. It's not an easy job. But anyway, so that's one thing the executor has been up to. And there's another one that's interesting as well. Go ahead.
The other thing that he's working on is trying to get some home equity into OJ's probate estate. So apparently OJ and his son had purchased a home together. We think it's the home that OJ lived in, and each of them contributed some money to the purchase price. OJ put in about $159,000. We think the son put in a bit more than that, and the value has gone up about $100,000 since they purchased it. So now the executor is trying to get that home equity, the value of that, into OJ's probate estate.
Right. And so many things about this case are interesting. It's very different from the probates that we in our practice normally handle, because normally there are assets. There's maybe a little bit of debt. Maybe there's some credit cards that need to be paid back, and maybe the decedent borrowed money from somebody. But usually there's going to be money left for the heirs to get something after we pay all the creditors. That's not going to happen in this case. But still, the executor is working away. And that, I think, is something that people don't think about. It's not just the executor's job to get money to the heirs. It's the executor's job. So now I'm going back to law school. Probate is like bankruptcy. It's what we call an in rem proceeding. That means it's about the thing, being the estate. And so the executor is bringing the estate into the court and saying, Your Honor, who gets this? Who gets it first is the costs of administration. So who gets it first is going to be the executor, but then the creditors. So in this case, the heirs aren't going to get anything, I suspect. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is an unusual probate, but it's following the regular rules that we always follow in a probate. Jessica, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
Just kind of, reiterating, even if the heirs aren't going to get anything, there's no beneficiaries getting anything, the executor still has to do all of this. He still has to do his entire job, even if the end result is, OJ's children walk away with nothing.
Right. And I'm just going to throw in one little other tidbit, which is I did see a copy of OJ's will. Somebody had published it online. I'm sure you can see it if you purchase it from the courthouse in Nevada. I didn't do that, but I did see it. It's a pour-over will. So OJ had apparently a trust, just like our clients do. But anyway, just thought that was another fun point to point out.
And we don't know what that trust says. I want to see it.
Right. See, that's the thing. Yes, the will is a public document, but the trust is not, and it may never be. And so we're never going to know. Okay. I hope that was entertaining, if not as educational as some of our episodes are. Thanks, Jessica. And thank you all for joining us. We look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com/scheduling. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcouncil.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.
This podcast is not meant to take the place of legal advice from an attorney and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you do have a legal question or issue, please consult with an attorney.